Hey folks, if you want to stay up to date with the latest news and analysis, make sure you follow S News to catch this and all our future videos. And, don't forget to support us by subscribing, liking and dropping a comment. It really helps us out. Tensions erupt in the Middle East. The US, Israel, Iran and Hezbollah have all been hit in an escalating conflict. The situation in the Middle East has just exploded. The US, Israel, Iran's ruling authorities and Hezbollah have all come under heavy fire in a string of escalating incidents. The US government has just announced the biggest round of sanctions ever imposed on Iran. These sanctions are targeting financial institutions, military networks, and energy-related organizations that are linked to terrorism. As a result, tensions are running high in Tehran's leadership. Meanwhile, Israel has ordered the immediate evacuation of its diplomats and their families from the United Arab Emirates. This urgent move has raised concerns over a possible Iran-backed terror threat, a fear that, quickly turned into reality. Yemeni forces launched a hypersonic ballistic missile aimed directly at Israel's main international airport. The blast shook the entire region, though luckily no injuries have been confirmed so far. In response, the Israeli Air Force carried out an intense airstrike on Lebanon, destroying one of Hezbollah's largest missile production facilities. The area was engulfed in flames just minutes after the precision strikes. At the same time, a coalition of Western nations, including the UK, Germany, Canada and France, accused Iran of plotting assassinations of politicians, journalists and dissidents in Europe. The allegations sparked a wave of diplomatic outrage. There are also reports that Russian President Vladimir Putin is working closely with Syria's new president in an effort to restore Moscow's influence in the region through Syria's strategic power. US imposes largest ever sanctions on Iran. The US Treasury Department has announced fresh sanctions targeting over 115 individuals, organizations and vessels across 17 countries and territories tied to Iran. This marks the most extensive sanctions action since former President Donald Trump launched his so-called maximum pressure campaign on Iran. The new sanctions focus heavily on a fleet of over 50 tankers and cargo ships transporting oil and petroleum products from Iran and Russia to global markets. Trump had previously declared that any country or individual buying oil or petrochemicals from Iran would risk US sanctions and be banned from doing business with the United States. In response, Iran's foreign ministry issued a statement criticizing the new sanctions on its oil sector, calling them harmful to the country's economic development and the well-being of its people. Iranian oil exports have since dropped from around 1.8 million barrels per day at the beginning of the year to about 1.2 million barrels daily. Trump has also made it clear he won't extend the deadline for trade negotiations. He warned that any country failing to reach a trade deal with the US by January 1st would face tariffs of up to 50%. A White House official said that Trump is expected to sign new executive orders on March 31st to raise tariffs on countries that don't finalize bilateral trade agreements. Nations that could be affected include Canada, Mexico, Taiwan and other major economies. Despite last-minute negotiations by several delegations, chances of reaching a deal remain slim. That same day, Trump announced a series of trade measures, increasing tariffs on Brazilian goods to 50%, imposing new duties on semi-finished copper products, and ending customs exemptions for low-value imported packages. The US also reached a preliminary deal with South Korea that includes 15% tariffs on Korean products. In exchange, South Korea agreed to invest over $350 billion in the US, buy more than $100 billion in American energy, and lower trade barriers. Israel orders evacuation of diplomats from the UAE. Israel's foreign ministry ordered most diplomats and their families to leave the UAE immediately, citing a potential security threat. According to Yedioth Aharonoth, the order applies to embassy staff in Abu Dhabi and the consulate in Dubai. The unusual move reportedly stems from a credible threat. The ministry declined to comment on the report, saying, "We do not comment on security instructions issued to our staff." The National Security Council also issued a travel warning to the UAE, citing increased threats from Iran, Hamas and Hezbollah targeting Israeli interests. Late Monday, the Israeli Defense Forces announced that Hezbollah launched a hypersonic ballistic missile, allegedly of Palestinian origin, targeting Ben Gurion International Airport near central Israel. The IDF confirmed that the missile was successfully intercepted. The Palestinian resistance announced that it had launched a Palestinian-made hypersonic ballistic missile, model Type 2, at Ben Gurion International Airport, located in central Israel. According to their statement, the missile has a range of 2,100 kilometers and can reach speeds of up to 16 miles per hour. Although, honestly, this speed figure seems inaccurate, maybe due to a translation or reporting error. Ben Gurion Airport is Israel's main airport, serving a large number of passengers. This marks the 67th ballistic missile attack by the Houthis on Israel since January 18th, the day Israel resumed its military campaign in Gaza to put pressure on Hamas across the region. While the missile caused no injuries or physical damage, air raid sirens were activated throughout central Israel and Jerusalem, sending residents rushing to shelters. The Israeli army later confirmed that a missile launched from Yemen was successfully intercepted after the alarms went off. Since the beginning of the year, Israel has been forced to shut down its airport multiple times due to repeated missile attacks by the Houthis. These attacks have also targeted Israeli and commercial ships in the Red Sea, in what the Houthis claim is an act of solidarity with the Palestinian cause. On January 1st, the U.S. envoy to the Middle East, Steve W.J.F., and the U.S. ambassador to Israel, Mike Happy, visited Gaza for the first time to assess the humanitarian situation. Their visit came as pressure grew from the US, Europe, and the international community on Israel to improve humanitarian conditions in Gaza, which have reached crisis levels due to ongoing military actions and strict economic policies. Earlier, the Israeli military had reported that planes from 6 different countries had dropped a record amount of humanitarian aid into Gaza since the resumption of fighting. Specifically, aircraft from Egypt, the UAE, Jordan, Spain, Germany and France dropped a total of 162 relief packages. This marked the first time Spain, Germany and France took part in air-dropping aid into Gaza. Israel launched a wide-scale airstrike campaign targeting Hezbollah's missile production and storage sites in Lebanon, despite a ceasefire agreement signed in November last year. On March 31st, Al Arabiya TV reported that Israeli Air Force jets carried out 14 airstrikes on Hezbollah military facilities in eastern Lebanon, where a militant group known as X-Line allegedly produces and stores missiles. The strikes hit underground facilities and weapons depots in mountainous areas along the Syrian border, as well as Hezbollah bases near the towns of Balb, Britor, Nabis and Hama. In southern Lebanon, airstrikes also targeted locations like Ain Aya, Ain Madia and Wadi Baghos, areas where Hezbollah fighters are believed to operate. No casualties have been reported from this latest wave of attacks. According to Israel's defense minister, these strikes aim to send a clear message to Hezbollah. Israel expects full compliance with the ceasefire agreement signed on November 27, 2024. At the same time, Israel urged the Lebanese government to take responsibility for disarming and controlling non-state armed groups operating within its borders. The last major Israeli air campaign on Hezbollah's underground facilities was on May 15th, killing 12 people and injuring 8, according to Lebanon's Ministry of Health. Despite the ceasefire, Israel has carried out more than 4,000 attacks on Lebanese territory this year, resulting in 228 deaths and 496 injuries. Lebanese authorities have not confirmed. The US and more than 10 allied countries have accused Iran's intelligence services of plotting assassinations and kidnappings in Western countries. Iran has denied the allegations. In a joint statement issued on March 31st, the US, the UK, France, Germany and others said Iran has intensified its cooperation with international criminal organizations to target journalists, dissidents, Jewish individuals and current and former officials in Europe and North America. The statement described these actions as unacceptable violations of sovereignty. Iran's Foreign Ministry spokesperson, Esmail Bai, dismissed the accusations as baseless and said they're an attempt to distract from what he called a more urgent issue: genocide in Gaza. He also framed the accusations as part of a broader anti-Iran campaign designed to pressure Tehran. This joint statement is considered one of the strongest coordinated criticisms of Iranian intelligence by the international community so far. Earlier this month, a UK parliamentary committee accused Iran of being behind at least 15 assassination or kidnapping plots in the UK since 2022. Dutch intelligence also revealed that Iran planned to assassinate an Iranian national living in the Netherlands in 2024. That plot was foiled when 2 suspects were arrested by local police. One of those suspects is believed to be connected to a growing assassination plot against Spanish right-wing politician Hugo Vidal-Quadros, who supported the Iranian opposition and was shot in Madrid in 2024. In 2023, the US Department of Justice revealed indictments against 3 members of a European crime gang for allegedly planning to assassinate an Iranian-American journalist critical of the Iranian government with backing from Tehran. Following the collapse of Bashar al-Assad's regime, Russia is now working closely with Syria's new leadership to rebuild its influence in the region. Kremlin officials have expressed readiness to help rebuild Syria while maintaining a military presence there. According to Bloomberg, Moscow has no intention of abandoning its position in Syria even after Assad's downfall. During a recent meeting in Moscow with Syrian Foreign Minister Sabiani, Russian President Vladimir Putin reaffirmed his commitment to helping Syria recover and stabilizing the country. Putin also emphasized Moscow's firm opposition to any foreign interference in Syria, particularly from Israel, and reiterated the importance of maintaining Russian military bases in Tartus and Khmeimim, 2 strategic locations that support Russia's presence in the Middle East. This push to maintain influence comes as Syria enters a new political phase after years of bloodshed, under a regime supported by Russia for over 15 years. While Assad is gone, Moscow is aiming to increase its regional power by aligning itself with Syria's new government. Syrian Foreign Minister Sabiani confirmed that rebuilding state institutions is a top priority, noting that many people are still suffering the consequences of past conflicts. He also expressed hope for honest recognition of the damage inflicted. Russia previously announced it would maintain a limited military presence in Syria after Assad's fall, viewing it as crucial to protecting its geopolitical interests in the region. Putin has also held talks with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to affirm Russia's role in upholding Syrian sovereignty. Syria is now preparing for its first parliamentary elections since the fall of Assad's long-standing dictatorship. Finally, thank you for listening and sticking with us till the end. If you found this helpful, don't forget to subscribe, like and comment. We hope you'll follow